All right, ladies and gentlemen, a very, very big welcome to ICT204 tutorial 2. So there's a number of things we are going to be doing today. And one of the very, very important things that we will be doing very shortly is we need to go and ensure you guys are able to go and do the quiz. And we also need to make sure you are going to be doing a lot of very, very important parts that are related to your assignment. So today's session specifically is really a very important foundational session because there is a task that we expect you to go over. And when I say we expect you to go over, we expect you to go over it slowly to ensure you are going to comprehend all of these various components of project management that we would like you to be able to go and really apply in terms of the various activities we are going to actually give you. So it's very important that you engage in every single activity we are going to be giving you today to be able to go and ensure we are going to be helping you to go and reach the right outcomes. Now, the first thing I would like to go and do today is relating to really forming of the groups. So we need to form groups of 3 to 4 people to help you to go and actually start working on your assignment. So what we need to know who those group members are, what's their student IDs, what's their student name, what's their core email, and what contact phone number. So we need to know also who is going to be the leader. Yes, you can nominate the leader when you submit your assignment, but what we would like to do and what we prefer is that you actually understand who is going to be the leader, but you understand that from now, you assign people to that group from now, and then you basically don't have to worry about anything down the track because this is the same group you are going to be working with now in the first assignment as well as when you are going to be working on your second assignment. So that is the first task that I'm going to be doing today. For the sake of protecting confidentiality of students, I won't be making any recording for this part, but we will now spend the time to be able to help you to go and ensure we allocate you to the right groups. All right, so next we are going to be doing the quiz 2. That is basically a quiz that is belonging to 20 minutes, 1 try. If you don't actually complete it, it will automatically assign a mark. So if you basically do, let's say, answer 5 questions out of 20 or whatever out of 10, and you don't answer the remaining questions, your mark will automatically be collated at the end of that duration. So now again, we cannot record that due to the confidentiality information, but there's a quiz that is going to be running at the moment. Now, ladies and gentlemen, now that the quiz 2, task 2 has been completed, we are going to be moving to the process group. So we have spoken about a number of important things today in the lecture. What are they? They are all of these knowledge areas that you can see on the left-hand corner, the 10 knowledge areas, and you can see all of these process groups that are on the right-hand corner. They're all very important. They are basically the basis for the traditional project management you are going to go and be delivering yourself. So bear that in mind. Now, for some of these process groups, such as planning, there is a task that needs to be done for each of the knowledge areas. Like for the project integration management, what do we do in terms of planning? We develop a project management plan. What about for project scope management? What do? We do project scope management, collect requirement, define scope, and create a work breakdown structure. So for each of these various particular knowledge areas, we have the planning in terms of planning. We have all of these things we need to go and do in terms of process steps. So you need to bear in mind the knowledge areas of project management. You need to bear in mind all of these process groups. You need to bear in mind all of these tasks, if you want, that needs to be completed that are relevant for each process group, for each knowledge area. 2 knowledge areas we will first cover. What are they? The 2 things you need to do for your assignment are you need to develop the project charter, and we have covered the template this week that covers all aspects of integration management. So we'll show you more now an example very, very shortly. and you need to go and develop this stakeholder register. Again, in the lecture today, we did cover, we showed you as an example of how do you go and actually get a stakeholder register, and how do you write and create a communication plan related to that knowledge, to that specific, register. So how do we actually go and communicate with various people? By understanding that every stakeholder is different, and by trying to go and deliver requirements and the needs of various people based on the various requirements. Now, we will cover next week more about the stakeholder register, but we have these two things you need to go and be working on. Now, I will talk about that more now, but I want to say there's the on Moodle, there's what we call the JWD support material. Now you're going to say, what is that JWD material? So ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to just share this screen now so that I will show you. So on Firefox, you'll be able to go and see on Moodle. So this is Moodle. And if you are a student, if you are actually a student, you'll be able to go down, and there's a section called search for it, JWD. So there's a section under week 2 resources called JWD Consulting Project. Now, if I go and open that file, and this file is really a foundational file, you need to go and read it, guys. I can't really tell you enough the importance of really reading that file. Now you're going to say, why should I read a file that is very long? You know, this is 29 pages file, like fatty. You want to kill me? Like, this is too long. Why are you doing this? Guys, it's very simple. It's very, very simple. The reason why we should be reading that is because it talks about every single stage we need to go and think about when it comes and relates to project management. So you go and think, for example, about what are the tasks you do on pre-initiation and initiation. You read about it, you know, it tells you about the pre-initiation task, you determine the scope, the sponsor, select the project manager, develop a business case, meet with the manager, review the process and expectations. It tells you all of these various things. You know, when we talk about the business case, we talk about all of these various information that could be available. You know, you go and see, you know, a business case example here and say, oh, introduction, business objective, current situation, introduction, business objective, current situation. So you go and see what is being basically created from there. So you go with all of these detailed information being created. All right, let's go. Return on investment. Is that project going to give me money or not? So you go have all of that information. It tells you about the initiation stage. What do we do? Well, we have to go and develop a project chart and identify stakeholders, which is what we spoke about earlier, and which is, coincidentally, what I have discussed earlier today. We have to develop a project charter. We have covered the template. So if you go and read the JWD case, and if you go and look at what we've covered as part of your lecture, you will notice we gave you an example of how do you write a project charter. So I'm going to go and open the materials for today. So I can show you. Let me just load that. So we've done today. It's more than one example. I'm going to show you this example that we also showed you earlier today in the lecture. So we showed you this example here, an problem statement, goal statement, you know, what's the scope, what's the business case and benefits, timelines, team members. We show you structure here today in the actual lecture. And we again gave you this other case. We said, okay, you know, guys, we want you to go and look at these sort of things in the JWD case because we give you more structures here. Identify project stakeholders. Alrighty. What do you do? Who are they? I showed you this today in your lecture. Joe Fleming, CEO, Erica, and so on. We showed you how you can look at them. And we showed you also how do you go and actually consider, the needs of various people like Joe Fleming and Louise Mills. They're both very important stakeholders, but their needs are really totally different. So we showed you that we go and have to think about who are these people? What are their interest level? What is their level of influence? And based on that, we decide how are we going to really deal with all of those people in a way that we are going to really reach the outcomes we would like to really go and actually reach. So drafting the charter. What do we do? Well, table 3.6 give you some information. You want to draft it. The title, the start date, the budget, the manager, the objectives. So it's giving you again another structure of how do you go and create all of these things. I will support this project as time allows, but I believe my client projects take priority. So this is a comment that anybody basically coming and putting their comments about what do they need to do, what do they believe about this project, and so on. You hold the kickoff meeting. I showed you an example earlier in the lecture. It's really, we are starting the project. It's an official start of the project we would like to go and do. So guys, what do you want to do about it? It's there. Let's just give it the actual go ahead. So we actually have that information that is really available in that particular instance. We said after initiation, we have planning. We need to plan what are we going to do. And what are all of these processes? This every single knowledge area have a process. Look, so many processes, so many processes. For every knowledge area, there are processes related to planning. Okay, team contract, scope statement, work breakdown structure. Okay, I told you we need to make eggs today. The work breakdown structure example I gave you, we want to go and make an egg. What's the process? There's a step-by-step procedure. We want to build the house. What's the process? Step-by-step procedure. So it's really important to understand and look, what are we trying to do? What are the process steps we are going to really go and follow at any particular point of time? All of these documents, as well as others relate information, will be available to all team members. So this will need to be available for people to see how are we going to be progressing at any point of time. You go down the team contract. Anybody knows what a team contract is, guys? What is a team contract? Any idea? Don't be scared. Come on, share with me your information. What is a team contract?
It's all about the rules and regulations.
Yeah, what are we going to do? Like, how are we going to go and behave? We're going to participate. We're going to communicate. What sort of code of contact we're going to do? How are we going to solve problems? How are we going to meet? What's the guidelines?
Team contract. It's written over there. Team.
What's that, my friend?
Ethical issues.
Yeah, ethical issues. It's basically everything. Okay, how are we going to communicate? How are we going to work together? And how are we going to work proactively? How are we going to keep other members informed? How are we going to focus on what is best for the entire project team? So you basically try to create some sort of guidelines on how are we going to go and create approaches on how we are going to be performing individually as people. That's a team contract. Scope statement. This is a very important document you need to be doing for your assignment. What's in and what's out. Project summary, characteristics requirements, just to name a few. But there's this, obviously, you see there's a structure for everything. You need to read this document in details, find all of this information that is really relevant for you to do. What is this guy's called? What is this guy's called? What is it? I said it at least twice today. Come on, you know this. It is called the work what?
Work breakdown structure.
Work breakdown structure. That's it. Well done. So we need to go and create a work breakdown structure, guys. It's very important you go and understand all of the steps that are involved in. You go and look at your assignment. Read what you want me to, what do we want you to go and deliver. Then think, what are the step-by-steps that are going to be required? Think about all of these, process groups of project management. Think about steps and sub-steps I need to go and do. Because when you create that document in detail and well, you can easily assign people to it. You can assign time to it. You can assign a budget to it. Everything starts becoming much more clearer to go and do at that particular point of time. So it's very, very important to basically bear that in mind. So you go and create all of this, task. You go and create the start, end dates, end dates. This one here is what we call a milestone. What is a milestone? Look, software product delivered. Okay, so there's no task here. It's just basically telling you we have achieved a significant outcome. Software product delivered. That's it. Then that's the end of story. We all finished. So we basically indicate that information about the stuff we are doing. Something has been completed. Now, if we go and continue, all of these risks, there are many risks, but there's much more I want you to do when it comes to risk. Not simply that. You can say, oh, what do you want us to do, Fatty? Like, what could we do well? Well, I want you, let's say Google, for example. Let's go and see, okay, IT project management, risk register. Let's see. What's this? We are talking here. It's much bigger. It's telling me, see, it's very small. You can't see it. I'm going to just open another one that you guys could see it in more detail. Let's look at this as an example. Date traced, risk description, likelihood of the risk occurring, impact if it's occurring, severity, who's owning it, what are the mitigation actions we're going to go and talk to be able to go and reduce that risk. Look here. Again, that's not very clearly showing. Just want to show you as many as I can, but okay, look here. Risk, likelihood, impact, severity. This is something that people basically always look at. What's the status of the risk? Who's the owner? When was it raised? What are the mitigation strategy? See, there's all of these similar things you go and see people talking about. Probability, impact, risk date, all of this information. So I want you to really, when you're trying to work on your assignment, I want you to think in details about all of these risks, all of these priorities. What are we going to go and do about them to be able to really go and create the right outcome? Project execution, it's really about implementation. And again, there are all of these processes and outputs that are related to the 10 knowledge areas. But then if we go in details, milestone reports, date, status, responsible, and so on. You go and think about best practices, monitoring and controlling. What do we do? Well, we need to have some sort of a change management process. We need to have weekly progress reports. We need to go and, in terms of project closing, what are we going to do? Well, close the project, close procurement. What does that mean? Well, let's go to the lessons learned. What have we learned from our project? What have we done well? What have we done badly? You go and learn about your work, the final project report, table of content, all of these things. But we also spoke about the agile approach of project management, but this is basically covered at a later stage when we talk about the agile type of project management. So it's a very, very long document. It has a very much relevant things. And I go back up to what I showed you earlier and what I showed you today also as part of the lecture. There is something called What is it called? It is called the project charter, and we gave you some structures. So why am I talking about the project charter? Well, because if I go here and I told you we need to develop a project charter, but then if you go and look at the next step, which is here, you need to deliver for me a project charter by when? Oh, it is due not next Thursday, it is due on Sunday next week. And then after the Sunday next week, which is the 28th, 1 week later, you need to go and submit for me the scope, draft scope stakeholder. A week after, you need to go and deliver the draft risk register, work breakdown structure, and project budget. And a week later, you need to get me the whole assignment delivered. Now, these tasks here, you need to work as a team to get them done. Now, do you do them? If you do not do them, every time you don't do one of those and you submit it on time, like it's really about on time, because it's like a bonus marks. If you don't submit this work on time, you lose 1 mark. So if you 28, you don't submit it, you lose 1 mark. You come here, draft. You don't submit it by the 4th of the 4th, you lose bonus marks. You come here, draft risk register. You don't submit by the 11th of the 4th, you lost
So
2
what
marks.
about the Gantt chart? We don't have to draw the Gantt chart here.
No, the remaining stuff you'll do part of the final project report. So your project report will be much more than these things, and that's where you deliver the whole report from A to Z. So to understand,
So you'll have to submit the tab 1, 2, 3 individually.
so you need to submit this first, then this across various timelines, and then you submit
On
your
Moodle.
final report on Moodle.
Okay.
So where do you submit it? Now, this is a question that is really important that I want to show you next. Where do you submit it? Well, let me go to Moodle and show you. This is Moodle. Okay, this is Moodle here. So if you go and look, there's a section for assessments. Oh, I have a pin book assessment, and I have later we have what is known as the Agile assessment. Now, there's no link for Agile, I think, just yet. There's no link for Agile yet, but let's go and look at the pin book. This is the link. You click on the link, and you see the following. Okay, where do I enter the mark? Well, let me go and see. So, as this loads, so they want us to go and do a project charter. Okay, great. So I submit the project charter in the project charter tab. So you come here and you upload your paper. What else do they want? Oh, they want us to submit a draft scope and stakeholder register. So you come here. There's a further draft scope and stakeholder register. And then next they want us to go and submit the draft risk register, work breakdown structure, and so on. Again, draft risk, WBS, and budget. And then there's a final report. So you see there's a due date for each of those. Can you see them? And you can see there's a mark. So, so basically we will be assigning a mark. So only the group leader will submit the work to turn it in. No one else is allowed to submit it. Otherwise, it's going to create plagiarism. We will then, after we see the mark and we look at your file, we give every single one of your team members, we give them a mark that is reflective of whatever has been allocated based on the work that has been submitted. So it's very important. You see that project charter, 1 mark, scope, 2 marks, this one, 2 marks, and the final report, 20 marks. 1 day late, you lose the whole mark. 1 day late, you lose the whole mark. 1 day late, you lose the whole mark. This is the only one where you will only lose, I think, 5% per day of late submission. Everything else, if it's not on time, you do lose your mark. So make sure you work very hard with your group and to start reading the requirements of the assignment. You're going to say, what are those requirements? Well, Very easy. You want to know what are those requirements? Go back, open the subject outline, and then go to the subject outline, and then let's go and look at what is required. So we know for a fact here that we have to go down all the way to the first assignment, second assignment also. And you can see when it's due, you can see all the information, you can see what are the task details, you can see what are we trying to do, the objective, the modules needed, the desired outcomes, the structure, you know, what do you include? Everything really is really there for you. You just need to read as a group, and very important, you look at the marking guide to be able to decide how you need to go and really work. Does that make sense?
So one question.
Tell me, mate.
Yeah, so for the final report, is there any word limit?
Mate, that information is really answered here. So if we go up, project 2, I cannot see any word limit being incorporated here. So let me go and look here. Okay, I cannot see any limit on the words, my friend. So there don't seem to be any limit on your assignment. Any other questions?
No, sir.
Or what I would say, although we're not, one second, although we're not highlighting a limit, my recommendation for you is don't provide information that is not going to add value. For example, some people go and actually copy a picture from the internet and put it for me in there, and they believe, oh, I showed you how a planning needs to be. No, that's not how you do planning. That's not how you do your work breakdown structure. And a lot of copy and paste that I've seen people do historically won't add any value to your work. So do not do it, because you won't get any more marks for that. You asked me about referencing. Should I do referencing? Yes, I do recommend you do referencing. You can talk about the planning, you can talk about the scope, you can talk about the charter. I do recommend you do some referencing, definitely. Any other questions? Okay, so guys, is the project charter due on Sunday this week?
Yes, sir.
No,
No,
it's
no,
not.
next week.
It's on Sunday next week, not this week, my friend. So please make sure it's due at 11 o'clock, and make sure you start doing those jobs now. Read the JWD case and make sure you have all the information you need to be able to do a job well done. Anybody else have any questions, my friend? You've already been allocated to groups. You've already asked to create a group to start communicating. I encourage you to go and start meeting. Every time you meet, create a meeting minutes document, and make sure you read JWD for any format and any structure that is really recommended. We need to track how much contribution you're doing to be able to ensure you are going to be getting a proper mark. Any questions?
No, sir.
Alrighty. All right, so someone is asking a question, and that question is about, that link, refer to the link. Guys, the link is not there the link is not your assignment. The link is simply telling you more information about what Wesley Mission does, their work. It doesn't actually tell you about the task. To be able to understand the task, you need to read that information and every single information of that assignment. We're going to appoint your team to implement a website. Okay, so we need a website. It's going to need to be reusable later by other clients. Okay, great. We're going to need to track residents and healthcare workers vaccination. Great. We need to be doing it within 6 months. Okay, what does the website need to do? Well, we need to have resident details, healthcare workers. So your job is really to do this task, to plan for this task, to understand the charter for this task, to write the scope for this task, and what are the objectives we're trying to go and do. The website link here is simply there to give you more information about what Wesley Mission is, but it's not the actual task of your assessment. The task is what is written for you here in terms of the details. Does that make sense, guys? Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right. Any other questions on that? Anybody else is still unsure? You really need to go and read the task, all of it, understand all assignment 2, understand all the marking guide, and before you start writing, because this gives you the foundation of what is really required before you write and complete anything else. All right, guys, now we're going back to the last task we need to go and do for today, which is about the questions that are relating to what we've done. Who is a project stakeholder? Stakeholders are an individual, group, or organization who may affect or be affected by a decision, activity, or outcome of a project. We have the project manager, we have the sponsors, we have, could be government department, we have other department within the same organization. All of these are part of the project charter, project stakeholders we need to go and really know about. What is the responsibility of a project stakeholder? Well, stakeholders are those with an interest in the project's outcome. So what does that mean? Well, it means because they have an interest, they might be working in the project and their responsibility would be to ensure the job gets done, or they could be just people who work in the organization and their job might be to provide the support that people might need and not block any progress. Or it could be that they just want to basically provide all the, just sit there and know that the project is progressing and do nothing. Like different stakeholders have different roles, really. Not everybody needs to be sitting down and doing the work specifically for that specific project. All right, guys, the third question relates to what is a project charter. It's typically a short document that describes your project in its entirety. I showed you 2 examples today, one that is related to what I covered in a lecture slide and one that is related to JWD case that we've explained in very much details today. I want you to go and create a structure and start working on the activities you would like to go and really be creating as part of your work. And finally, what information is available in the project charter? Well, there's objectives, there's timelines, there's tasks, there's who are the stakeholders, to name a few. But go and look at the structures we gave you, because this is really going to give you the foundation of the more information about the sort of various structures that might be available for you to be able to go and create a structure that is really considered appropriate. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for all your efforts and all your listening today. Do you have any questions at all?
No questions as of now, sir.
All clear?
Seems so.
Yeah,
So my
we'll
last
get it
question. I
clear.
just texted you.
Tell me, my friend.
I've just texted you on the chat. Can you please have a look?
I'll have a look. So I have a question about, is Wesley a sponsor and are we the project management people who are going to be delivering that project to Wesley Mission? That is correct. You basically, they are your client. They come and tell you, I want to go and deliver this particular project. They say, this is the money, this is the budget, this is the timeline I want to get done. You are the project manager. You're going to look at what they want you to go and deliver, and it is your job to go and plan how are we going to be delivering what they actually ask us to go and deliver. Does that make sense?
Sir,
Does that make sense? Sorry for the person who asked the question. All right. Who has another question? Go on.
sir, you gave me absent for today's class.
What's that?
You gave me absent for today's tutorial class.
We haven't done the tutorial attendance yet. We'll be doing.
But
I'll be
it's
doing
showing
that later. Don't worry. I'll sort it out. Don't worry about it. It'll be good. Okay. Don't worry. It's under control. Okay. So don't worry. I won't give you absent. I promise. All right. Any other questions? Anybody else?
No more questions, sir.
No more
questions,
questions.
yeah.
All right. Well, guys, I thank you very much for all your effort and hard work and time. You come every week. You come on time. You study hard. We want to help you to go and pass. So please make sure you're working very hard every week, because if you come every week, if you follow the instructions, and if you start early, you'll be able to get great feedback and you'll be able to get great outcome for your assignment. So please simply do that. Thank you very much for your time.